Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and there's been a lot of talk recently about all the leaks happening, which obviously makes sense because expectations were high after Thrones of Decay being one of the greatest DLCs that we've had so far, and then, yeah, it looks like these leaks have kind of put a span in the works. We don't know if they're true or not, but considering that these leaks are fairly structured, there is reason to believe that they might be true. Now, I don't want to talk about this that much in this video, as we did talk about it in length yesterday, but there is something that kind of happened within the community, which is something that we do need to discuss. So a number of people did link me this forum post by Avarath, which actually makes so much sense. You see, we do want subfactions, but what we want is the subfactions that everyone has basically been asking for since 2016, and other subfactions that could be implemented for the much beloved races, which would, well, sell, you know, it would generate them some revenue. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because it's important to signal boost these types of forum posts. I could easily send a message to Creative Assembly staff, I already have done with one or two, but the fact is that if we talk about this publicly, also this forum post will be linked in the description below, by the way, I keep forgetting that the CA forums exists, it will once again show Creative Assembly that yes, we do want to buy stuff, but we want to buy stuff that people do want. Subfactions are something which is quite important, and it's something that we need to talk about with this post because, yeah, some characters have come in at the expense of others, right? Gorst coming in, who was pretty much an unknown character, a little footnote in Sigmar's blood, at the expense of, say, Abarash or Conrad von Karstein, or, you know, when you look towards, say, for example, Tretch Craventail coming in at the expense of Thanquol. We know that Thanquol is going to come eventually, because, I mean, they publicly confirmed it, and then they just told everyone, wait, it's going to happen eventually. Or Silistra coming in at the expense of Dreadfleet characters. Now, one thing is Silistra Diafin is actually very, very cool. I do like her, but let's be honest, Aranessa does not fit in a Vampire Coast DLC. They could have done someone else and had a lot of fun with it. I don't mind an OC coming in every now and then, because, again, I really did enjoy Silistra, and the little ebook that you can get in Total War Access does make her fit into the canon of Warhammer. Hell, she's even mentioned in the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which was confirmed by the people at C7. It has to be approved by Games Workshop, so yeah, she's part of canon now. And that's a character that was clearly designed with a certain vision, whereas, like, if this Lords of Shangyang thing is true, it just feels a little bit disjointed. And the same thing with, like, the Monkey King DLC. The leaks say there's 2 monkey characters, when really we only need 1 monkey legendary lord, and possibly a legendary hero. A little spider monkey would be kind of cute, but not 2, right? Not 2. It's not needed. But again, this poster has echoed the sentiment that yes, we do want sub-factions, it's just the ones that people have been asking for a long time. There's loads and loads of characters in the Warhammer Fantasy universe that are still yet to be in game, and it looks like we might not see all of them, or at least the most popular ones, because it kind of feels like we're heading towards the end, right? This is something that we've discussed a few times, whereas, yeah, people still buy, and it's really, really important to get those big names. It's kind of like if we end up getting to Total War 40k and we don't get any of the Primarchs, which would just be really silly, right? I mean, just jumping into it very quickly, you know, we've got the Cult of Auric, which people have been asking for a long, long time, and CA keep acknowledging, right? They keep saying Boris was going to have his day, and it just feels like that day is either never going to come, or it's going to be at the very, very last day. Like, by the way, here's Boris Todbringer with his new faction mechanics and a bunch of units from, you know, the Storm of Chaos, which would be awesome. But again, why is it taking so long when you know that you've got a very popular character and he's got a start position, he's got the areas there? It does make me question how Creative Assembly plans their stuff for the future, right? Like, you've got a character who's already animated, he's got pretty much almost everything that he needs, barring a unique faction mechanic, some extra units, and there you go, and he is definitely going to generate a lot of interest and a lot of player interaction. Plus, let's be honest, like, they're likely going to sell the Cult of Auric stuff as a DLC, which is something that they've actually done before when it comes to, oh my god, what was it for Free Kingdoms? Fates Divided. You know, those characters were already in-game, it's just they did a DLC to kind of fill them up. If it's done in the correct way, and it's actually not done in a, you know, we're going to do the bare minimum and, yeah, charge you for it, it could sell. It could sell. Sub-factions for the vampire counts have highly been requested since the introduction of the, it's not got a name, but I'm been calling them a culture pack, Champions of Chaos DLC. If we had one of those DLCs for the vampires, it could sell really, really well because Neferata could come into play. We could also get in a Strigoi character, Aborash, and a Necroc character, and that's easily 4 factions with a bunch of reskinned units, some stuff that is obviously quite unique for each of the factions too, and some unique mechanics to make it, you know, really, really interesting. And Creative Assembly can't say that that didn't sell because it was on the top sellers for a decent amount of time. Vampire counts are also very popular despite the fact that they've not really had a lot of content. Yeah, 1 DLC and then a minor rework in Warhammer 2. This is the really interesting thing, right? Despite the fact that they've not had a lot of things, and knowing that they're really popular, Creative Assembly have yet to give them something, right? Does that not just sounds strange to you? And I think the more that I've seen these leaks is why I'm actually confused about it, because again, if it's popular, why not milk the bastard for all it's worth? There's even characters in-game already which could be given some sort of rework to make them more like sub-factions. Just giving you 3 examples over here, we've got the Red Duke, which is very similar to that of Boris Todbringer, and he could have something very stylized in the style of half vampires and half Bretonnians. Sure, this has been done with mods before, but the fact of the matter is a lot of people do prefer this stuff being done officially. Plus, the Red Duke isn't fully voiced as far as I'm aware, and he could do with some mechanic to just make him quite interesting. Hell, just use the Bretonnian mechanics, but just make them a little bit more evil, right? Morathi is another perfect example, as Morathi is a character which is very closely associated with Sinesh. She'd have some new stuff come in, you know, being able to get yourself some demonettes and so on, but that's pretty much half-assing it. Creative Assembly could say that it wasn't possible because it's a different IP and so on, but the Storm of Chaos stuff has been used a lot more often recently. We did see it during the Shadows of Change stuff where the Changebringers were brought in, so yeah, if you can use a unit, you could possibly use some others. Have some Sineshli Dark Elves, some Chaos Warriors mixed into it, and give you a reason to play a little bit differently. Hell, if they need to justify it, then just make it part of a sub-faction culture pack, right? Have a few different factions getting a massive facelift, charge like a $5 for it, you know, because it wouldn't take that much work, unless they really want to go into the Storm of Chaos stuff, and Games Workshop allows it, because Games Workshop are also a factor here. But yeah, you could get something really, really cool there too. And finally, Frog, the King of the Monsters. Why not give him some extra trolls from the Orcs? Have some Lord and Hero options which are trolls and, you know, focus around just loads and loads of monsters and be a stylized faction, a proper sub-faction to Chaos. Because normal trolls would even follow a Chaos troll as, I mean, they're horrendously stupid, it's very easy to trick them. This is how you end up with Chaos Trolls, by the way, same thing as how you end up with Chaos Ogres, it's just they're that stupid. As you can see, there's already a certain amount of factions which could be their own stylized sub-factions, some new and some just already in-game, which could just add a lot more flavor to the game and just give you more reason to replay. And I'm not saying don't add in new sub-factions. In fact, I'm kind of excited about the idea of a Monkey King because, I mean, who doesn't want that, right? The mythos of Sun Wukong has been all over the place, which, by the way, when it comes to those leaks, I imagine that's a working title because I doubt they're just going to call him Sun Wukong, right? Like, they're not going to just copy-paste that because then Games Workshop wouldn't be able to have IP stuff on it, you know, and we all know how Games Workshop likes to say hippity hoppity, that's my property. Why I got so hostile over the leaks is more the case of, oh, an ogre faction. I mean, we have an ogre race, which really deserves a little bit of a rework and the missing units that they have, rather than getting some Cathayan ogres that may or may not end up in Warhammer the Old World. It kind of feels like it is, because it's incredibly left field, it just feels like something that could happen. But when we had established lore that the ogres, the generic ogres, caused so much shit in the Warhammer Fantasy world that the Dragon Emperor tried to basically exterminate them with calling down the meteor and so on, why are we getting ogres for that, right? It just doesn't feel like it's needed. Fix up the current ogres before you start looking towards adding Cathayan ogres. Ultimately, if the leaks prove true, which I'm assuming are going to be true, depending on how long Creative Assembly takes to actually talk about them or, you know, do a roadmap reveal and so on. Yeah, I'll keep an open mind, but I'm hoping that at least this discussion reaches Creative Assembly's ears and, you know, they realize, yeah, people want stuff. It's just really specific stuff that they've been screaming about for like years now. This series is, what, 10 years old at this point? Or, well, it's getting close to, which is just absolutely insane. it would be great. You know, let's get some big names that have been waiting for a while. Let's get them in game before it's too late, before it's all over. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I do apologize if I sound a bit odd. I am dealing with a little bit of a throat infection, but I'm actually on the mend, so yeah, it's all a matter of time. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you all again very soon. I'm going to take a few days off before I start streaming again, just so I can make sure that my voice doesn't, like, completely break.